Rettles is saying anyone who thinks NRG is a defensive team doesn't know Rocket League. Debate. Where did he say that? Well, yeah, I guess I just don't know Rocket League. NRG are definitely a pretty defensive team. If you put them against like lower tier competition, they're just gonna be in offense a lot, so they don't look defensive, but they are a defensive team. Just now on his stream, I believe it. I believe that he said that, but I don't want to, you know, believe everything you guys say that somebody else said on the stream. I need to see the clip before I know what he said. I think what people get very confused about with NRG is not so much the playstyle, it's more terminology. I don't think people are on the same page with what offensive and defensive mean. Sathu kind of tweeted something similar. Did you guys see the Sathu tweet? I could pull it up if you want. I can show you guys what he tweeted. It's quite an interesting tweet. I don't know why he tweeted this. I'm not sure what he was replying to. Did you guys, by the way, did you guys hear what Justin and Garrett said about Sathu yesterday? Did you guys hear what Justin and Garrett said about Sathu on Shotcast? I said Vitality should win this easily. Fast forward or win it 2-0, so I know nothing. Sathu was dominating Justin in ranked, and Justin wanted to give him a tryout for NRG back in the day. And Garrett was like, Justin, I'm never asking you about roster suggestions ever again. This is what Sathu tweeted, by the way. We'll get into this very quickly. Just this last part. Sorry, I need to... Fury's going to say too many words. I won't be able to focus. We'll get into KC NIP in a second, but this is what Sathu tweeted regarding the NRG defensive narrative, as he called it. He said, also, this narrative of us being a quote-unquote defensive team, or having some new defensive playstyle, is some of the asinine stuff I've ever read. I think he meant to write most asinine stuff I've ever read. We're still the same team, building on what we have done in the past year, and what Atomic and I have learned in our time beyond that. Sometimes an off day happens, or a team can put us under extended pressure because they're executing well. We're always trying to set the pace, trust in what we're doing, and we'll deliver. That's what Sathu tweeted after winning the last regional. I don't know what he tweeted this in reply to comments he'd been getting or something. Does anybody know why he tweeted? Well, was he replying to something when he tweeted this? Is it in reference to anything in particular? But I mean, it's fair enough to tweet that. There's nothing wrong with this tweet, by the way. I think it's fine. I'm just not sure what motivated the tweet. His previous tweet, his previous tweet. Okay, wait, I don't know what that previous tweet is. Let me check what the previous tweet is. Get all the context here.
Exotique. Allez, super, il a passé un premier joueur. Il va aller chercher la démo. Oh, Monkey Monkey.
1 second, my Twitter's not loading properly. It's loading Sathu tweets from like years ago for some reason. Okay, 2-2. Alright, so Sathu tweeted, sorry, embarrassing from me. Will be better tomorrow. That was after losing to Gen G, I imagine. And then what did people reply to this? Somebody replied saying, please bring back last year's team. Where's the offense, the creativity? It's just boom ball with this team playing like diamonds. Did anyone else say anything about defense, offense? Somebody else replied saying, I mean, you're not even playing. How can you execute a game plan if your players can't play the game? Need some offense, not give up silly mistakes, counter-attack, spirit touches. No, I'm scrolling past a lot of other tweets that are just saying all good or, you know, regain, stuff like this. So I'm not reading out every reply here. Oh, Vital, you're up. Okay. For the fast forward, kind of blowing an opportunity here. That's good passing by Vitality. That's really good passing. Not. I mean, I'm not seeing like an overwhelming. It might just be one of those like vocal minority kind of situations. It doesn't look like a massive amount of replies were directed at Sathu criticizing NRG's offense or playstyle. It looks like maybe a few comments. Casters kept referring to them as a defensive team. Probably, yeah. I mean, okay. Here's the situation with NRG. I think people are confused because nobody can really agree on what we're really talking about. If we're talking about where is the ball, roughly, when NRG are playing most teams in their region, where is the ball for most of the match? It's in the other team's half. If let's go through the list, rankings in NA. If NRG are playing against Complexity, Nine Lives, Deleted, Poab, Shopify, Evo, Omelette, Strictly, Gas, all of these teams, the ball's probably in the other team's half for 75% of the game, and it's probably in their, you know, back third, half of the game. NRG are just far better than all these teams mechanically, so they're going to put them on defense a lot. But when NRG play against Karmine Corp, Vitality, you know, probably other EU teams. I don't remember if they played any other EU teams at the most recent major. If they play Furia, Falcons, if they play like Twisted Minds, if they play like other top tier international competition or even Ultimates recently, Gen G perhaps, with the new addition of Justin, Space Station as well, are quite good stylistically against NRG. If they play against any of those teams, then you're not going to see as much ball in offense for NRG. You're going to see a lot more defense out of them. So, you know, when people like Sathu are tweeting, he's not like... A lot of what he's saying is totally right. It's correct. Like, what did he tweet again? He tweeted, and you know, when people like Rettles are saying that NRG are not a defensive team, yeah, probably when he plays them, they're not. He's probably right, you know? Like, if he plays against them, and if he scrims against them, yeah, he's... Why are we, like, getting ads here? He's probably playing Defense Simulator against them. So he's not wrong. But we need to be able to distinguish between, like, what is aggression, what is passive, what's aggressive, what's passive, and like on a global like scale against the other like world-class teams, where do they rank in terms of offense and defense? And I would say that NRG probably have the #1 or 2 defense. It's them and Karmine Corp who look like the most. I think NRG, Ultimates, Karmine Corp are your top 3 defenses this season, and then offense, you're probably looking at Karmine Corp in there as well. And then I think you got to still give Falcons their flowers for their offense. And I don't know if I'd put anyone else in the top level. It's probably just those 2 in terms of top tier offense. So yeah, it just depends what we're talking about. Are we talking about NA regionally, or are we talking about world of Rocket League, like whole world of Rocket League? That's where the conversation changes. But yeah, NRG inside North America, yeah, they're pretty offensive team, because they're simply better than most of the teams they play. You put them against someone their own size in the international stage, yeah, they're probably the most defensive team out of the top 10 teams in the world. I'd say NRG are probably the most defensive out of the top 10. But even that leaves a lot to interpretation, because some people think defensive just means where you are on the pitch. Other people would think defensive can incorporate things like decision making and whether or not you challenge or fake challenge, whether you rush challenge or whether you wait for a teammate to come join you, whether you play for the risky pass or whether you just like go for the low 50, you know? There are so many different ways to be aggressive or passive than just where you are on the pitch. It's a much deeper conversation then what's most likely being discussed. One thing that is absolutely correct, I think, with what Sathu tweeted though, is that they are the same team from last year. Like, there's not really much has changed from the way that NRG play the game. I don't think they've really changed much. I think they're very much the same team. So I'm looking for the exact quote. I've got it here. He said, "We are still the same team building on what we've done in the past year." And I agree with that. When I watch NRG now, I see very much the same team as I saw last season. Very much the same, playstyle-wise. The main difference to me is more on the execution. I think that last season, NRG, and particularly Beast Mode, executed on a much higher level compared to the competition. This season, NRG, and yeah, especially Beast Mode, who's their main playmaker and main offensive force, have had a lower level of consistency with their execution. So we're seeing them struggling more regionally, perhaps, than last season, where they just dominated for most of the time. And internationally, they're even more defensive than they were last season. So yeah, I think Sathi's right. They haven't really changed it. I don't think they've gone into a team speak at any point this season and said, "Guys, we need to really like shore up our defense. We need to counter attack." I don't think that's happened. I think NRG are just continuing to do what they've always done, because they were pretty close to winning Worlds with that style. So why would they completely revamp it? Yeah, now I think that a lot of the teams around them have improved, and NRG have maybe stagnated on the execution side of things. But their strategy's fine. There's nothing wrong with being a defensive team. There's nothing wrong with being a counter-attacking team. I think, as I made a video recently about NRG, I think they maybe just need to make a few tweaks about their priorities when they attack. They don't need massive changes. I think that they probably just need to prioritize the ball more, small boost pads more, big boost pads less. And, you know, pick the more aggressive option every now and then, instead of just being scared to attack at 0-0. Instead of playing for the counter attack at 0-0, try to really go for the risky option every now and then. Keep their opponents guessing more. All right, let's see. So NIP dropping game 1 to KC. Vitality. Oh wow, Vitality are already through. So Vitality are in the top 8 already. Dignitas 1-0 up against GK. Let's watch the second half of this game. And Gentlemates 1-1 with Synergy. I think Gentlemates are probably going to win that without too much difficulty.
That's a shot on target.
Rockly Chris, thanks for 47-month tier 1. He says, loving the Chalk Patreon content. Honestly, putting BDS, Decal, and B tier is crazy. If you chatter want to see other terrible takes like this, sub to the Chalkcast Patreon for just $5 a month, 90 bonus episodes and counting. Hashtag ad. Thank you, Rockly Chris. That's absolutely right. Chalkcast Patreon.
Oh my god.
What was the timing?
It's so...
Wait, is that...
all the post hits, though, have been, like...
Is that a...
bangers.
Is that a Bacchus mod thing?
What is this? Okay, the defense crumbling.
I thought something fell in real life.
Don't know how to get things done. Joyo panicked.
Oh, Joyo like tripped to the post. That's
unlucky.
unlucky.
See his car.
It's a custom size. It's called Ding Dong.
In the air he
I thought like a pan fell in person. That was so realistic. Alternate crossbar signs. That's so good. That is so good.
Isn't the problem after all? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not the problem. This should be the actual sound. I would like
metal pipe falling. Yeah, the audio engineering is on point there.
That's
That's so good. Can we get another crossbar, please?
Like maybe if you're a player, hearing that sound effect is more negatively.
You could do custom audio. I love that.
And therefore making you want to not hit the crossbar more. You know what I'm saying? Psychological effect. Get in front of the ball too. A lot of our
some of you are saying that Seth, you elaborated on Reddit. I didn't actually have a chance to read any of that, so I'll have to go read that.
Another one. That's I think
see
the
what you
third
were
or
saying.
Fourth goal line save. I mean, you don't want to leave it to that and hope that you can get.
Is that like a?
But I'm at least happy that we're finding it. Yours.
A Reddit thread about his tweet that he put out.
The ceiling, but he didn't need it. The trajectory. And
also, I'd love to hear Rettles
just
elaborate. Right? I think Rettles does this sometimes, where he throws out a take like,
exactly
you know,
what he needed to do.
Anyone who thinks X doesn't know anything about Rocket League. Anyone who thinks Y doesn't know anything about Rocket League. And then he never elaborates. Well, he doesn't I'd love to. I don't ever hear him
Pour la
elaborate.
double tap, du coup, c'est super bien joué de l'avoir remis.
But I'd love to hear him elaborate because I'm sure he's got something to say on the matter. I'm sure he's not just talking nonsense. But I also think that it is extremely true in the context of global Rocket League. NRG are not just a defensive team; they're the most defensive team. In the top 10 teams in the world, I would say NRG are the most defensive, the most passive, the most counter-attack focused. And that's not a bad thing. I don't know why people get so like defensive about that, ironically. People get defensive about their team getting called defensive. But they've always been like this. I mean, what is there to discuss? This has always been they've always been a defensive team. Globally. His main point was compared to true defensive teams like Omelette or Old Sonics. Okay, so is he just comparing them to other NA teams then? In NA regionals? Because I don't really... I mean, there's not really much to say about that. That's like saying, you know, in NRG against Luminosity from APAC. Like, there's such a skill difference in the teams that there's not really, you can't really tell what the playstyles really are. Who's the most counter-attack defensive team in EU? It's usually... generally, it's usually like, do you guys remember the old EG team? And before that, I think they were German Amigos. If I remember correctly, they were the most defensive and counter-attacky. Guild in RLCS Season X we're pretty counter-attacky right now, but yeah, who's the most German Rocket League team? It's probably like the most German Rocket League team. Yeah, Tox is in MENA right now, so that's not possible. Yeah, Veloce, yeah. Gentlemates before Redosin. Gentlemates were an interesting candidate. I'd say that they were on LAN, they were very unique. The main difference between Gentlemates last season and NRG, formerly G2, is that Gentlemates they didn't actually look like really, you know, counter-attack baiting when it was 0-0. They would always just get a 1-goal lead and then they would do that. They would be up 2-1 and then it would just end, the game would end 2-1. They'd be up like 1-0, the game would end 1-0. But they would definitely have a high defensive line, taking risks with follow-ups, like, you know, very quick follow-ups in offense when the game's tied. It's kind of what led to a lot of their series being so entertaining. Is they played quite volatile Rocket League when the game's in a balance. They weren't just like playing boom ball, wait for mistake at 0-0. Like is sometimes criticized from like if you watch NRG versus Ultimates, it can sometimes turn into that. It can just turn into boom ball, your turn, my turn, when the match is 0-0, when the score is 0-0. Then finally somebody scores and the game comes to life, but it's a bit snooze fest at 0-0 sometimes. In my opinion.
4 secondes. Allez, Atto. Un flip reset, Itachi. Faut pas qu'elle touche le sol, ça va être dur.
Ouais, malheureusement.
Danger Dawson, thanks to the 38-month tier 1 NIP tie the series 1-1. Dignitas are 1-0 up against GK, 1-1 in game 2. Gentlemates have taken game 1 against Synergy. It's also 1-1 in game 2 there. Let's see some Gentlemates. We've not seen a lot of them today. Let's see what's happening. Uplink, thanks for the Prime. McSquare Relay, thank you for the 2-month Prime. Dr. Spino, thanks for the Prime. I'm still trying to find the Sathu Reddit comments. I don't know where the thread is. Yeah, I'm on the main broadcast tomorrow.
Tranquille. Derrière les gars. Il reste encore 3 minutes 20 à jouer.
Probably just have to search Sathu.
C'est quoi le tir?
No, I didn't do that.
Le
oh!
Missile, attends, non, mais...
Le missile.
Waouh!
I think we know what that means.
Appuyé, hein.
Bang. Seiko. No nonsense.
23 km/h.
Oh yeah, I find it. So if I search comments for Sathy, maybe we can find out what's going on.
Ok, ça a défendu. Eugene, tu prends le boost. Allez, tu t'occupes de, s'il te plaît.
Sometimes NRG versus Ultimate just feels like waiting for Beast Mode or LJ to create something.
Dommage.
I think more like First Killer recently, but yeah, I know what you mean. Atomic and First Killer are the two standout players in my opinion.
Je comprends pas comment
online.
on commit. Ah, parce que.
Missile equals rocket shot. Yeah,
En fait, juste
I'm aware.
move sur le backboard, malheureusement elle a décalé, ok.
Missile, not the most complicated word to understand. Wait, what did I miss? Why are you guys omega lolling it? Seiko.
Aïe aïe aïe. Ah, il nous embête en plus.
Alright.
Ok, c'est bon, juste sur le backboard.
Probably back to KC time. Seen a little bit of that. I think it might go the distance. I think Gentleman's are winning though. But let's see if NIP can hand another L to Karmine Corp. Karmine Corp on the boot camp. They're taking it as seriously as possible. They're down 1-0 against NIP though.
Allez les gars, c'est ok. Il a envoyé un vrai classique. Hein. Okay.
Ultimates plays more defensive than NRG when they play. Ultimates is the most defensive team you feel. I would disagree. NRG get a lot of counterattacks against Ultimates. Because Ultimates are taking risks. Playing for the winning 50, playing for the positive outcome a lot in offense and getting caught out. Again, I want to reiterate, being a defensive team is there's nothing wrong with that. The only criticism that I would put towards NRG and Ultimates as well to some degree. Remember earlier on I said NRG, Ultimates, Karmine Corp are the three best defenses in Pro Rocket League right now. I think that out of those three defenses, Karmine Corp are the most unpredictable. And it's part of what makes them so hard to play against. Wow. I mean, this is a bit lucky, I think. Did Vatira side flip by mistake?
C'est bien là, on
did
les
he
a
get
pas
bumped?
laissés jouer, ils avaient pas de boost.
Or did he just go for the bump? I can't really tell if KC went for, if Vatira went for that bump or if he side flipped by mistake and then reacted. Which team is the most offensive? Falcons by a mile.
Comme s'il y avait 0-0.
By a mile. To a fault, I might add. To a fault.
Un bon 50, va passer un deuxième joueur.
Falcons are the most aggressive offensive team. To a fault. Oh. Shot by Atto.
Quelle lecture de la part d'Atto!
Je suis tellement désolé d'avoir douté!
Qui va nous donner l'avantage dans ce match! Oh, mais y'a rien, c'est juste, il a mis un but individuel de fou, Nas, il nous a tué, il nous a fait le cul sur le but, y'a rien, c'est juste un but, y'a rien.
Fury is up there too, sometimes.
Quelle lecture d'Atto, c'est magnifique.
Reste dans le match. De toute façon, j'ai vu, dans leur visage, ils étaient carrés après le but.
Drali qui se fait démolir par Oski malheureusement, on prend quand même une
So someone on Reddit saying that Sathy's calling out the casters. Was Sathy calling out the NARLCS casters? Were they calling NRG defensive? Is that what
Il a eu un
happened?
pitch bizarre, Itachi la pop la balle. Il va se retourner, Drali qui va bloquer.
Il faut s'envoler très vite.
I didn't hear a lot of the commentary, so I don't know where this came from.
Et non, malheureusement la première touche était à dingo.
Fake nous a fait mal, mais ça va. Atto a pu.
Bon, la démolition nous arrange pas du tout là-dessus.
Milani Pani, thanks to the Prime.
Qui fait son boulot.
Welcome to the channel.
Du temps, cette balle elle flotte encore, on va lui sauter dessus.
Ah, ils attaquent comme des fous là. Ils attaquent comme des fous.
Attention, la frappe de Nas, il y a Oski qui va revenir à la charge. C'est bloqué, Vatira. Il a un peu de boost là pour travailler, très peu de boost même.
Oui, excellent, excellent.
Super.
Avec 10 de boost, c'est splendide.
Do you guys think that they take it personally? Do you think NRG take it personally being called passive defensive?
Ah, il faut revenir là.
Do you think Sathy takes it personally to have his team called passive and defensive?
Drali, il a récupéré du boost, c'est bien. Attention, Nas, Drali. Oh, la passe de Nas, c'est magnifique.
Il est dingo. Oh,
I think they, I think they probably do. I think they probably do. I don't know why, but I think they do, based on that Sathy tweet.
Vatira.
But I don't think they should though. Yeah, I don't see why they would take that personally.
On se bat là dans ce milieu de terrain là. Grosse bousculade au milieu de terrain pour savoir qui va avoir les prochaines occasions.
I mean, if we want to talk about, you know,
Allez, est-ce qu'on peut passer?
Who knows what? Who knows ball? Like,
Démolition.
Ouais, il va nous démolir, donc l'attaque va être un peu...
I think it's less about. I think in this conversation, it's less about knowing ball and less about like who knows what they're talking about.
Faut aller la chercher,
It's
hein.
more about who actually understands the definitions of the words than anything else.
Ah, ils vont trouver le
I think
trou
that some
dans
people are
défense,
struggling
ils
to
vont trouver ce
understand
trou sur la passe.
how widely encompassing the words aggressive, passive, offensive, defensive are, and they're thinking about them in very specific terms,
De 2.
in
Ils ont trouvé le but, bien joué.
very specific regions, and that's what they need to revise on.
Là, c'était la situation parfaite, hein, côté NIP, pour trouver l'égalisation.
On n'arrivera pas à
But
passer le
unless you
joueur,
couldn't
la
tell,
petite
yeah,
touche de la part
I
de
do
Nas pour
absolutely
remettre
think that
la balle dans une
NRG
zone de
are
danger pour
the
nous.
most,
On va
I'm
pas
going to keep
face
saying,
à
they're the
Oski.
most passive
C'est
and the
lui,
most
Itachi qui
defensive
s'envole encore une fois pour jouer un
team
petit, ça
in
repart
the
de l'autre
top
côté
10 teams
complètement.
worldwide.
Est-ce qu'on a- Non, on n'a pas le temps.
And I
malheureusement.
don't think that's really a hot take. I think that's a cold take. I think they've been that
Ok, il
for
va être
ages.
bloqué, va tirer.
And
Il va tirer en 2 temps, oui.
to act surprised by that take or act like it's a crazy take
Grand chose, Itachi, il a pas envie de toucher ce basketball.
is
Quelqu'un qui arrive, va tirer.
either delusional or
Ah, Oski qui va sauter.
Ouais, Nas
Allez,
qui
là,
fait ce qu'il
on
peut.
peut pousser, là, ils sont un peu
moving the
normaux, là.
goalpost or something.
Oski, il a rien, les gars, il a rien. On l'a laissé jouer, dommage. Vatira.
Passive is a hot take. I don't think so. I think they're pretty passive. Listen, there's nothing aggressive about taking a boost when it's free. Like, taking 100 boosts when it's there is not
Ouais,
aggressive.
normal.
It's not like, ooh, you know, wow. Can you believe they did that?
Okay, la
Wow,
petite
they're
touche
so
à
aggressive. They
Splendid.
took the totally free boost.
Récupéré par Oski.
Aggressive is like
Atto,
when
avec une
you
très bonne
go for a,
première
like
touche,
a
il peut
bum
tenter de
rush
pousser
challenge
magnifique,
that
le
the other
petit.
team might see
Attention
coming.
au rythme de Nas.
Aggressive is like
C'est anticipé.
going for the outplay instead of the air dribble 50. You might get dunked on, but hey, gonna go for it anyway. That's aggressive. Like, if we're talking aggressive versus passive, you need options. There needs to be options. I would argue that it's more aggressive to not steal the 100 boost, instead to just stay in the play with low boost in a more active position instead of stealing the 100 and rotating out. That's passive, generally. But you need there to be decisions. Like, we need to talk. What are we talking about here?
Oh là là, les trois touches qui nous gênent.
On n'était pas assez proche, on n'était pas
Shot.
assez proche.
Oh my goodness. NIP 2-1.
Au mur 2-1.
Ah, ils sont bons, les salauds.
En fait, on était proche, mais pas assez proche, ce qui fait que derrière la contre-attaque, elle est
Non,
tout
franchement,
droit.
ça joue.
Karmine Corp actually in trouble. NIP beat them in the Swiss, and they might beat them again. That would put Karmine Corp here. They'd have to play against Immunity or Dopamine. Hopefully Dopamine.
Ah là, ils nous ont fait
K'd
des
up
phases
against KC in an
agressives
elimination
énervées,
match.
C'était très difficile de respirer. La démo sur Drali qui était gainée, ça nous a pas du tout aidé pour nous relancer. Et ouais, aujourd'hui, ils sont très très chauds aujourd'hui. Généralement, il y a effectivement toujours un
Let's see
petit
the other
joueur qui est en
scores.
dessous chez Ninjas in Pyjamas dans leur match.
Dig
mais
are
les
losing.
trois, ils sont au max.
Wow, okay, hold on a second. Dig are losing. Is this updated? Is this the right score? 1-1?
plus de NIP, on gagne
Or is it
jamais.
already 2-1?
On a perdu un match depuis le début de la saison contre eux.
C'est clair, c'est clair.
But again, like, Raw Greg, like, what are we talking about here? Are you talking about within NA, or are you talking about globally? Because I was talking earlier about this. If people are talking about it just North American RLCS regionals, then I'm not interested. I don't care about that. I'm talking about on a global scale, where do NRG rank in terms of aggression,
Attention, Atto, il va décaler,
offensive, defensive? That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about NARLCS because it's not relevant. Like in NARLCS, there's a skill difference in a lot of matchups, and playstyle doesn't really play a factor. So I don't know if people are getting confused about that. I'm not comparing NRG to who is it you guys were saying earlier? Sonics? Omelette?
On va même se faire passer, il reste Atto en défense qui a le ballon.
What are we
Il est
doing?
tout seul dessus.
I think there's a conversation there. The only thing that matters for NRG is like their playstyle globally.
Nas, gros pinch pour relancer cette balle, mais il nous la redonne, hein. Il nous la redonne avec ce pinch. Atto un reset, Atto qui passe, Atto,
c'est un joueur.
Atto, dommage, il y a le
Non.
retour de Nas. Vatira qui arrive, là il peut envoyer un missile, Vatira.
Oh.
Double arrêt.
Les
Double
deux
arrêt
ont
de la part de
sauté,
Nas,
Itachi il a pas de boost, il fait ce qu'il peut pour défendre.
But yeah, I mean, if people want to talk about that, I can talk about it. When I say I don't want to talk about it, I mean that's. I shouldn't say that. I should say like I haven't been talking in that context. When I speak about this, I'm speaking in a global context. I'm thinking NRG, KC, Falcons, Vitality, Twisted Minds, Furia, Ultimates.
Drali qui s'envole.
That's the
Allez,
list.
Drali.
Maybe you can throw in like some other EU teams, NIP, Dig,
Vatira qui arrive, il a
GK.
0 de boost.
But you know,
Yeah.
when we're talking
Il va
top
pas faire
10 teams in the
grand-chose, il va
world,
voler un boost adverse, là.
that's like the teams that
Il va
I'm thinking
attendre leur
about.
push, Nas. Il va
And in
pousser un
that
maximum,
list,
il
yeah.
va essayer de trouver au skill au milieu de terrain, c'est cut par
I
Vatira.
don't think it's. I think it's kind of obvious now
Là on peut être dangereux là. Là on peut être dangereux là.
where NRG are on
Le
the
50, ça
aggression
va
and
tirer.
the offense
Dans
skill.
l'axe, et ça va très fort, très haut. On n'a pas trouvé de passe,
Ouais,
là,
ça
c'est
vient
Drali.
bloquer.
Oh, that's up.
Le ballon qui est pop.
Good read by Oski.
Passer par-dessus. Tout le monde, il reste
Ça, c'est
Drali
bien
en
le move,
défense.
Who
sur le
would win,
backboard.
Falcons or NRG? I reckon NRG would win
Vatira
Game
qui récupère
7.
le boost en plus. Allez, Atto.
I mean, they
Vatira
did,
qui fait bug,
so.
là, au milieu, attention, bien joué Atto. Ce duel était super important parce que Vatira était out.
But no, truth be told, by the time that they play again, it's very dependent on
Actuellement, ils ont tous
who's
ce qu'il
made
faut pour
better
avancer.
adjustments.
Là,
I think both those
Jason
teams need
nous
to
avance
make
pas, ils ont envoyé
adjustments
un Oski au charbon.
Il nous casse les couilles là.
um,
Il pousse Nas, c'est bon. Vatira qui va
in
faire
preparation
son
for
retour de
International Rocket League.
Il va fake là parce qu'il a pas de boost Atto. Ouais,
Oui,
cette
oui,
balle
c'est
elle
dans,
fuit.
c'est dans,
Cette
non,
balle
Wait a
elle
minute.
fuit. Cette balle elle
What's in?
Magnifique Atto. Va avoir besoin
I
de
love
ça
the delay
aujourd'hui,
on
les
the
gars. Va avoir
reaction
besoin de
here.
ça
They're not
aujourd'hui.
sure if it's in or not. They're like, wait a minute,
Magnifique.
hold on.
Je vais pas l'avoir Itachi, il a tout donné mais trop court.
On prend. C'est pas
Why
grave.
on earth would you want Falcons to defend?
0, le kick-off. Atto Itachi, c'est Oski.
What do you mean? What you think Falcons should just leave their net open whenever the other team takes a shot?
Sur le
La double
backboard.
tape, la double tape, la triple
Questionable.
tape,
I'm not sure about
dommage.
that.
Non.
They might be in trouble if they do that.
Je pense.
Pas grave, Nas. Il a du boost, il voit tout le terrain. Il va se faire cut par Vatira tout de même. Bien joué Vatira ça. Quelqu'un y va, Drali. Quelqu'un il veut jouer
Oh.
le bump sur Drali Nas. C'est bien ce que je me disais. C'est pas retourné sur
Now,
la balle.
Falcons need to work on their
Vatira en
defense,
défense.
just as NRG need to work on,
Ouais.
I think, their
Il y a Atto qui va
unpredictability
suivre,
in
il a un peu de
offense and
boost.
their execution in offense.
Il réussit à gêner encore.
Some of their
Il fait ce
decision making
qu'il
in
peut.
offense as well.
Avec quelques
Oh, le
flips,
psycho.
va tirer à la défense.
But I mean, if you want more information on that, I made a video about it on
Il avait
YouTube.
vraiment pas eu les couilles.
Talked
Il
about
a
some
bien raison.
Il a bien
stats.
raison frérot. parce
Nothing
que là,
too
on a une petite
complicated, but
contre-attaque
yeah,
qui s'opère.
NRG are very big on the
Dégager
big boost
directement.
pads.
Atto qui va bloquer
Stealing
le
big boost
terrain,
pads,
ça lui
playing
fait
on big
un
boost
peu.
pads.
J'adore.
C'est
C'est
sublime.
You compare that to Karmine
Très beau à
Corp,
voir,
not the same.
et c'est très efficace aussi.
Not the same. KC
Attention
are
à
one of
la
the most
sac
small
s'envole,
pad focused
c'est
teams in the
bloqué par
world,
Drali.
if not the most in the
Vatira
top
qui va
teams.
outspeed Oski, il avait pas de boost en plus. Itachi se retrouve tout seul sans boost. Il va récupérer un full. 1-0, 1 minute 19. Atto en 2 temps peut-être. Nas qui pousse. Faut le bloquer.
Yeah,
il va
Falcons
jouer
are the
le
opposite.
sur
They need
Drali,
to.
faut
They need
retomber
to.
sur
Oh,
cette balle, mais du coup, si on
what?
retombe sur cette balle.
Yeah,
ça
Falcons
fait
need to like stop
égalisation.
panicking in defense.
Ah, si c'est
Did
Oski
Drali
qui va
land on
toucher
this?
Non, c'est Drali.
Je crois que c'est Drali, ouais. Ouais, c'est Drali.
He just lands on it and it's in his own net.
Ouais.
NIP,
Il y a
match
Vatira
point.
au cash qui s'est fait
One
battre.
more goal and they're in.
Même quoi qu'il arrive. On devait toucher là. On devait toucher. Drali au contrôle. Minute de jeu. Ok, Drali qui passe.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising that, I mean, Rule 1 we're so known for their defense that you switch one player, you put TRK in and they're just like a different
57
team.
secondes, attention, Vatira,
The
il va
Twins
se faire
suddenly
bump,
are
c'est
part
une
of the most
belle
aggressive
défense.
roster.
Il a vu le ballon arriver,
But yeah,
il
when
a
it comes to
instantanément.
3v3,
Il a bloqué l'attaque.
like the individual defensive capabilities, shot stopping, goalkeeping, and
Atto.
for
Oui,
Was.
oui,
Oh, it's
oui,
in.
Atto! Magnifique Atto!
Like Falcons have
Superbe.
got some crazy defense
Superbe solo
capabilities, but as a unit, as a team, their strategy
Voilà,
and
il a
defense
éliminé
is
Nas.
very
Et
bad.
Bachik s'est un peu endormi, hein.
Ça, c'est très bien joué.
They stack
Très,
the back
très bien
corner,
joué.
they double commit, triple commit. They
On a besoin de ça aujourd'hui là.
Clairement.
they create volatility in their own
Ça part
defensive
Itachi qui est premier,
end
il l'a vu.
when it would make more sense to just control the game.
Drali, le 50. Attention. Ok, c'est bon.
Oh,
attention,
good
attention,
turn by Vatira.
Attention à vous.
Merci pour tout.
Attention.
Look at this on the turn.
En fait, avec la démo, je voyais un joueur de NIP arriver.
Demo
En
turn,
fait, Vatira a eu le temps de se retourner,
little side flip.
de le crocheter et de terminer l'action et de faire le break. Ah, un peu d'air, on peut respirer.
But the main like word I would use to describe the like
c'est
NRG
parti.
Ultimate's KC
Vatira qui va
defense
toucher
is
ses
composure.
balles.
They're just
Oski
composed.
qui a pris le full boost là. Qui va gêner.
Compare that to the
Ça repart très fort,
Falcons,
plein milieu de terrain.
no composure.
Vatira qui va
It's
tenter
just-
la double ici.
It's just like
Voilà,
panic
doucement.
stations
Nas va faire l'arrêt.
everywhere. But then their offense is so good, their mechanics are so good that
Ouais, Drali
they're
qui a pas
still
été
able
naïf, c'est
to
excellent.
play everybody
On
On va
close.
laisser Vatira partir. Et Drali au follow-up, il s'est fait gêner malheureusement.
The,
Atto qui
the,
vient encore
the
follow-up,
important thing
magnifique.
for teams
C'est
though,
pour ça
like
qu'on est trois dans l'équipe.
Falcons with their offense and NRG with
Et
their
c'est fait.
defense,
Ok, on est en
is
2-2.
they need to
Ok.
find a way to just tweak things. Because it's not like you need to
Pressant
make
ce
massive
match, hein.
changes at this level. all teams are kind of doing the same things in lots of ways. So it's about making the right tweaks. By the way, GK 2-1 up in series and in game 4. Synergy completely tied 1-1-1-1 with Gentlemates. I'm surprised by that. I thought Gentlemates were going to win this more easily.
C'est cool. L'impression qu'il était sur l'action offensive et
Yeah, it would be a bad idea, and I don't think that there's any danger of this happening. But it would be a bad idea for NRG to completely change their identity. They just need to make some small tweaks. Same thing for Falcons. They just need to make some small tweaks. They don't want to change their team's identity as a hyper aggressive team. They just need to make some defensive tweaks, but keep the overall playstyle the same. Alright, wow. Okay, so Gentlemate's up 1. We're gonna go back to the. You know, listen to some subpar. I mean, I'm enjoying the Karmine Corp. You listened to some subpar earlier, my boys. But the Karmine Corp reactions are just hilarious.
C'est bien. Chercher un bump dans les cages. Du moins, il a essayé.
New BDS are out. Kukin is looking thanks for the 38-month tier 1.
C'est qu'il a envoyé un missile.
Wasn't Falcons previously the best defensive team in the world? What happened? You might be thinking about Rule 1. Falcons have never been known for their defense. Any iteration of the roster. They've always been, like Sandro Gaming followed by Falcons, they've always been just the most aggressive team. Offensive focused teams.
On va devoir respecter Nas sur sa touche qui nous la rend un petit peu, ça nous arrange, on n'aura pas le read.
Yeah, the effort on the KC view part is amazing. Bootcamp, face cams, treating it like a Champ Sunday already.
Ce ballon, Tato a fait. Drali, il va se retourner sur le bloqué par Itachi, c'est bien. En 2 temps, encore.
Oh! Drali right out of boost.
Ah, t'es le GOAT, frérot.
Oh, that was such a relatable attempt.
Stay focus.
C'est juste le GOAT, frérot.
Stay focused.
Ok.
On va tenter la démo, bien gêné, j'aime bien.
Je pense que vous voulez la mettre un petit piqué là.
Bonne démo ça.
1 minute 40, il y a encore beaucoup de temps dans ce match. J'aimerais bien
qu'on fasse le break.
J'aimerais bien qu'on fasse le break maintenant. J'aimerais bien qu'on fasse le break.
Oh!
Vatira! Let's go!
Incroyable.
Incroyable. Ceiling, double, reset.
C'est excellent.
2-0.
Il l'a déposé.
Looking like they're gonna go through. You know why Kamito is casting Rocket League today? Did I hear the Valorant drama? I did not hear the Valorant drama. I don't know what that means. Happy Danny, thanks for the 82-month tier 1. That is absolutely absurd. It's nearly 7 years.
Dommage.
That is a long time. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's hear the Valorant drama. What's going on?
C'est dur.
What does that mean?
Oh, ça va sur la gouttière, dommage.
Attention à Nas, j'aime pas ce qui se passe.
Ok, c'est dégagé par Drali, on peut respirer.
Oh, by the way.
Qui vient frapper ça fort à toi, il premier dessus, on aime bien, c'est bon.
Oh, nice shot. Bang, 3-0. Great shot.
Oh là là,
GK top 6. Are GK gonna win? Over dig again. GK. Oh wow, GK are 4-1 up. Oh, hold on, 4-2. Late comeback maybe. Hold on. Let's see. Can Dignitas get the late comeback?
When they're down by more,
they need a kickoff to go their way here.
Kinda lock in.
Let's see what people are saying about Valorant while we watch this. Valorant pros were using the League of Legends PCs, but Valorant needs better PCs, so they had lag spikes, etc. And the league didn't want to replace the PCs, so the players went on strike.
I like the air dribble flip reset over one player.
Fair enough.
Nice follow up. Abjack.
For some reason I didn't mention this before yet. Oli's back in the Batmobile, so of course they're winning.
Does look pretty good.
Why was he not in the Batmobile the major?
The whole series, we needed to play with this intensity the entire time. We expected to take a win.
Yeah, I did watch Sunless Guy's most recent. Stizzy left the match early. Stizzy left.
And we're gonna have to get.
Are you allowed to do that? Is Stizzy fined?
I'm not calling it quits though.
Is that a fine? He left 2 seconds early.
The rivalry continues to grow.
Wow, GK win over Dig. Dig are gonna need to win in lower bracket. They're gonna play against JJ Rocks. That's the full Spanish team, marked by 8 Steak and Rixie. Not a super fun matchup. And Dopamine are going to play against NIP if Karmine Corp continue to close this one out, which it very much looks like they will. Gentlemates are up 2-1 on Synergy as they look to continue to advance.
Et d'avancer dans le jeu.
Attention au ski. Atto qui va se retourner.
What team do I think has the highest peak? Karmine Corp.
C'est bonne, c'est cut par Drali. Batira qui peut pousser. Il a pas de boost mais
But since that's the obvious answer,
va jouer un 50.
I think the second highest peak is probably Falcons.
Non plus. Belle défense de la part de Drali.
Because yeah, in Rocket League, offense wins. When offense peaks against defense peak, offense wins. So I think Falcons is number 2. I don't know who I'd say number 3. It becomes a bit wishy-washy.
Toujours 3 buts d'avance, mais censé être tranquille.
On est bien installé.
Mais tout est possible sur Rocket League.
Yeah, last season as well, everybody was saying Falcons peak is ridiculous. And it's true. When Falcons peak, they look completely unplayable, much like KC do this season. Those are the two teams who just didn't look playable. Actually, I guess we have BDS at the end of the season were kind of insane as well. And it seems like any team Monkey Moon's on towards the end of a season, when they're fully in sync, just look unplayable as well. So yeah, BDS last season, Falcons, now KC. Definitely the highest peaks that we've seen in the past year.
Qui va prendre une première touche, il va jouer le 50 contre Nas, c'est neutralisé, milieu de terrain magnifique.
Super.
When NRG peaks, it's over. I mean, I know you guys aren't going to like to hear this, but not really, because defense doesn't win in Rocket League. Defense loses in Rocket League. It always loses. When offense peaks, the defense loses. The defensive team loses. But luckily, offense doesn't always peak. Sometimes you're able to run into a team who are just playing a little bit flat, and then NRG's got such a high floor that they're obviously. I think NRG's the opposite of a peaking team. I think their ceiling and their peak is obviously very good, but they're more about the high floor on a Champ Sunday. They've got like the most consistency for the past year. That's why they were able to make a grand final streak of I can't even remember how many events. It was so many.
Allez, on repousse ça et c'est terminé.
Yeah, they're about like the floor. NRG disrespect. I'm sorry you feel disrespected about that, but that's just the facts. If you find the truth disrespectful, then that's unfortunate. That's tough.
Bien joué à Itachi et sa team parce qu'ils ont été bien chiants.
Ils nous ont fait peur de malade. Enfin, moi, ils m'ont fait peur, honnêtement. J'étais en mode quand même, tu vois.
Franchement, ils nous ont fait vivre des émotions.
I found a Sathu comment, by the way, that's quite interesting. From the Reddit. Extended discussion about his own. Okay, Gentlemates win against Synergy, so they're through. Karmine Corp are through. We're still following NIP and Dig, who are going to be in the lower bracket. Sathu replied to a comment and said, in a vacuum with KC or in-form Falcons, we'd obviously be seen as more defensive. And compared to points from last season, the same could be said. I read that verbatim, so that's like that's what he had to say. Like an extension. It's a super long comment though, so I'm not gonna read the whole thing. But yeah, he did say in a vacuum with KC or Falcons, he'd obviously be seen as more defensive. So, I mean, yeah, it is obvious. This is what I've been saying. Like, I don't know why people are acting like it's a crazy take to like call NRG defensive or passive when, yeah, if you look at them against like the other best teams in the world, it's absolutely the case. Oh, interesting Sathu comment here. Interesting Sathu comment. I'm looking through the Reddit to see what else he said. Somebody said, I think, this is somebody replying to Sathu, said, I think the point most people are making is that amongst their peers, NRG is the most defensive in the world. And then he lists Ultimates, Falcons, KC, Furia, Vitality, and of the top teams within NA, SSG, Ultimates, NRG, Complexity, Gen G, maybe with the exception of Complexity. Sathu replies to that and says, I firmly disagree with that first point. So he disagrees with this. Then someone else asks him, which team out of Furia, Ultimates, Falcons, KC, or Vitality is more defensive than NRG? Sathu says, Ultimates without a doubt. Would also argue Vitality when they're playing against top tier teams who are able to sustain pressure. They can absorb and break out well. Wait, Vitality? Then brackets. When they're playing against top tier teams who are able to sustain pressure, they can absorb and break out well. So he means that they're counterattacking? Others a lot more comparable. KC more offensive. Wait, comparable? So when he says others a lot more comparable, does he mean that Falcons and Furia are comparable to NRG in terms of who's more defensive? No, he can't be mean there's no way he means that. That can't be what he means. There's no comparison. Mispronouncing it. Am I saying this wrong? He says, okay, Sathi says ultimates are without a doubt more defensive than NRG. He'd also argue Vitality are more defensive than NRG. And then he says others a lot more comparable, KC more offensive. I don't know. I don't know if he forgot Falcons. Maybe he didn't read Falcons properly. Daniel's one of the best defensive players in the game. Good joke. I mean, I can't tell if you guys are trolling in chat. Of course Daniel's one of the best defensive players in the game. Who do you guys say are the best defensive players right now? If you have to pick 3 players from different teams, who would you choose? I reckon everybody's picking Daniel, and everybody's picking Vatira, and then you've got one more spot for someone. Rawas maybe, but yeah, Rawas right now on Falcons, bit chaotic, bit nervous at times in defense, panicky. But on another roster, yeah, I mean, we've seen what Rawas did on Real 1, so probably, yeah, people are still going to throw Rawas in there. I'm just reading through another few comments. It seems like Sathi's initial tweet was in response, this is my summary on the situation. I think Sathi tweeted initially in response to a handful of, people who had a knee-jerk reaction to NRG losing once badly in their own region, because obviously they lost to Gen G, and that probably resulted in a knee-jerk reaction by a vocal minority criticizing NRG's performance. And then Sathi most likely tweeted in response to that, but his word choice in the tweet was very general, so people are taking that to mean that he doesn't think NRG are particularly defensive or passive on a global scale, when obviously they are. So I don't know. I imagine there's probably a lot more points that people like me and Sathi agree on in this conversation than it sounds. Why is he responding to that? I don't know. I'm a bit surprised. I'm a bit surprised that they seem to be taking the playstyle comments personally. There's even some comments popping up about referencing that could be casters talking about it. I know Gibbs talks about NRG being a defensive team a lot. I don't know if any of the other casters did. I do because they are on a global scale. But yeah, I don't know I don't know what the confusion is about. It's pretty I don't know. It's pretty low tier drama in my opinion. Where the coach is arguing about that stuff on Reddit, Twitter. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not sure. They must just be bored. If the coaches train a lot on all these attacks, you can see why they would be a little hurt. I just feel like they should be way above all that though. Why do you care what somebody replying on Twitter is saying, or somebody in Twitch chat or YouTube comments, or I don't know, Reddit? Number one advice I give to a lot of young players in RLCS and in Rocket League is to not take anything social media says personally. Honestly, not even to bother reading it, because it's not going to help you. I say this to new casters as well. But obviously, when you have more experience, these aren't new players. These are experienced players and experienced people. Then you understand what's going to affect you and what's not going to affect you. So they must not think it's going to affect them if they're reading and responding to it. But yeah, I wouldn't respond to that if I was in that situation. If you think you know something that they don't know, that's a good thing. Defensive is seen as negative most of the time in RLCS though. Yeah, I guess so. The only reason I think that being defensive should be seen as negative is because historically and currently it doesn't seem to win. If you just look at all of the teams who have won throughout history in Rocket League, it's usually the aggressive teams who are winning, because defense can give you a high floor, but you're eventually going to get peaked on by somebody who's taking more risks. It's just the way that Rocket League works. You want to be the team putting pressure on the opponents